Greetings and peace. I would like to start this with Bismillah-ir-Rahman-ir-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace be with you and yours. Today's presentation, I would like to do an in-depth analysis of the book, The Mind, by Dr. MalachiZYork. Again, I represent myself only, and I hope you benefit from this. This presentation is created strictly for entertainment, fair use, educational study, scholarly review, and nonprofit purposes. It does not endorse, promote, encourage, or discourage any individual, organization, movement, belief system, or affiliation. The material is presented for reflection and learning only. The goal is to extract ethical insights and philosophical lessons that can be applied towards self-improvement and becoming better human beings. Nothing herein is intended as doctrine, recruitment, or instruction to follow or join anything. Interpretations remain the responsibility of the reader and the viewer. The book, The Mind, presents an extended philosophical and metaphysical exploration of the human mind, its function, origin, and role in shaping reality. It asserts that the mind is the primary instrument through which human beings experience life, make decisions, and determine destiny. Throughout the book, the mind is discussed not merely as a biological process, but as a powerful force connected to consciousness, spirit, and universal law. Understanding the mind is presented as the foundation for wisdom, discipline, health, and liberation from suffering. The book differentiates between the mind, the brain, and the nervous system. The brain is described as a physical organ, while the mind is portrayed as the non-physical controller that uses the brain as an instrument. The nervous system acts as the transmission network through which mental commands are translated into physical action. When these three operate in harmony, the human being functions at a higher level of awareness and control. The mind is described as a divine inheritance that predates physical birth. According to the book, human beings did not originate as mere physical creatures, but descended into material existence with pre-existing mental and spiritual faculties. This perspective frames the mind as something to be remembered, disciplined, and reclaimed, rather than created anew. Ignorance of the mind's true nature is described as the root of human confusion and suffering. The book warns that without discipline and awareness, humans risk degenerating into instinct-driven, animalistic behavior. When the mind is neglected, desire and impulse dominate decision-making. Study, reflection, and conscious living are presented as necessary to preserve human dignity and prevent further mental and moral decline. Humans commonly seek happiness through possessions, money, status, relationships, and experiences. The book emphasizes that these pursuits only provide temporary relief from dissatisfaction. True contentment cannot be achieved externally because the restless mind remains unchanged. Without mental discipline, fulfillment continually slips out of reach. Repeated thoughts carve mental grooves, shaping habits, behavior, and personality. The mind records experiences and replays them through the subconscious patterns. Breaking destructive habits requires awareness and deliberate replacement of negative thought patterns with constructive ones. The ego is described as the false sense of self that identifies with name, body, and personal importance. It thrives on comparison, pride, jealousy, and fear. According to the book, liberation begins when the ego is observed, restrained, and no longer allowed to dominate consciousness. Thought is presented as a real and measurable force that influences both the thinker and the surrounding environment. Thoughts are said to carry energy and momentum. Consistent thinking shapes character and circumstances, making mental discipline essential for constructive living. Every thought and action produces a corresponding action. The book emphasizes that nothing occurs randomly. All effects have causes rooted in mental and physical actions. Personal responsibility is central to this teaching, shifting blame away from external forces and toward self-awareness. Mental states are closely linked to physical health. Fear, anger, stress, and negativity weaken the body and invite disease. Healing is described as beginning in the mind through right thinking, disciplined living, and balance. And you see that even in life where those that don't take any headaches or stress and they live longer, prosperous, more positive lives. Food is described as fuel not only for the body, but also for the mind. Heavy, excessive, or impure diets dull perception and reduce mental sharpness. Moderation, awareness, and simplicity in eating support clarity, discipline, and emotional stability. Energy is constantly lost through excess talking, overeating, indulgence, and uncontrolled sensory input. The book stresses the importance of conserving vital energy. Silence, restraint, and simplicity are presented as tools for reclaiming inner strength. The ability to focus the mind is portrayed as one of the greatest human powers. Scattered attention leads to weakness and inefficiency. Concentration strengthens willpower and allows deeper understanding of any subject or task. Unchecked emotions distort judgment and lead to regret. The book teaches that emotion must be governed by awareness and reason. Self-control preserves dignity and prevents the mind from becoming a slave to impulse. The mind is inherently restless and constantly seeks more. Satisfaction through indulgence is described as impossible. Reducing desire rather than fulfilling it endlessly is presented as the path to peace. The physical world is described as temporary and ever-changing. Attachment to form and identity creates fear. Understanding the impermanence of this life leads to detachment and mental freedom. The true self is presented as the observer behind thoughts and emotions. This witness consciousness remains unchanged. By identifying with the observer rather than the mind, inner stillness is achieved. All existence is described as originating from a single, unified source, referred to as the All. Diversity exists within unity. Recognizing oneself dissolves fear, division, and hostility, that we are all connected and part of the same source, experiencing life and itself through itself. Creation is governed by precise laws, balance, and intelligence. Nothing exists outside this order. This order points to a unified source rather than chaos or randomness. Modern society amplifies distraction, emotional instability, and mental exhaustion through constant stimulation. The book's teachings are increasingly relevant in addressing anxiety, addiction, and loss of meaning. Practical applications include mindful living, disciplined thinking, simplified diet, and reduced distractions. Personal transformation begins internally and radiates outward into relationships and society. The book suggests that collective conditions reflect collective thinking. Societal problems mirror mental disorder. Improving society begins with improving individual minds. Accumulating information without understanding does not lead to liberation. Wisdom arises from applied knowledge. The disciplined mind transforms information into insight. Fear arises from attachment to identity, body, and possessions. The mind imagines loss and suffering. Liberation comes through understanding the temporary nature of all forms of this human life. Silence is presented as a powerful tool for mental purification. Constant noise weakens perception. Inner stillness allows intuition and clarity to emerge. Discipline is not restriction, but freedom from chaos. The disciplined mind is stable and powerful. Without discipline, the mind becomes a source of suffering. The book teaches that the mind shapes reality, health, destiny, and character. Awareness is the key to transformation. Self-mastery, not external control, is presented as the ultimate goal. The teachings encourage responsibility, discipline, compassion, and unity. They challenge passive living. Applied sincerely, these principles aim to produce balanced and conscious human beings. And of course, the referenced material and text is the book The Mind by Dr. MalachiZYork, which you can look up online at your leisure and convenience. Thank you for watching. If any questions or comments, please email me at salmansheikh911@gmail.com. And of course, all my work is for the purpose of copyright laws of fair use, nonprofit, education, free speech, and entertainment purposes. Thank you so much. All rights reserved.